Hey guys, welcome to another Jamaican Tales video, a Jamaican living in Germany. On Sunday, it was the federal election in Germany, the Bundestagswahl 2025. This was also my very first time voting in any election in this world. And that's what I want to share with you in this video, talk about what it was like voting in my very first election and everything afterwards with the results and how everything developed. Of course, my priorities are messed up. So, of course, before I even go into the polls, I went for a run. Running through and around the city, I recognized there was something different. Sundays in Germany, nothing happens. Everything is closed. But this Sunday was different because there was a lot of activity, lots of cars on the road. Even in the city center, a lot of people walking about. Even if you didn't know what was happening, you'd be like, okay, there definitely seems to be something special happening today. On my way to the polls, it was also the very same thing. So this was around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I saw many people heading in that direction. Turnout of voters on the day was 82%, almost like 59 million people that actually voted in the election. Heading to the polling station, I didn't necessarily know what to expect. The only thing is that I saw previously like how like the ballots look. When I got there, it was like a moment where I was like, I just wanted to live in the excitement of it. Wow, this is like really cool. Like I actually get to participate in the election after living in this country like for almost 8 years. Within this time, there have already been 2 federal elections, and third one that I know get to participate in it. It was for a few moments, even before going inside, I was like, wow, this is crazy. I was really just caught up in that moment and just like, wow, reflecting a lot. Then it was time to actually go inside to cast my vote. There were like 3 people in front of me, and the lady that was at the front of the line, she didn't have the letter with her. They asked her to then show her ID card. The next person behind her had the letter, and I was shocked at that point because I already had my ID card out before I even went inside. You have to check, you have to verify that. So let me just take it out of my wallet from. Looked at the letter, and I guess he compared like the name and the date of birth. It was also the same for me. They didn't check IDs. You just gave them the letter, they validated in the list, and you got the ballot, and you could go to the cabin to vote. I was like, what? Yeah, I don't know about that, because then pretty much anybody that you give the letter to, they could actually vote on your behalf. You have the letter, but that doesn't mean that you are the person that is entitled to vote. But hey, a friend of mine, he voted at another station, and they actually checked the ID even with the letters. I don't know what was happening at this particular place, but yeah, I found that strange. When I got the ballot, then it was just like a wait for a minute or two before one of the 3 cabins that were there were actually free. And then I voted, and I folded the paper, took a way longer than I needed to, because again, living in the moment. And then I brought it to the other, because there were like 3-4 people sitting there, like one checking your information, one giving you the ballot. I guess maybe the next person was kind of just observing to make sure nothing crazy was happening, and the next person moved a stack of paper from the top of the ballot box, and you could put your ballots inside. All of this without waiting would have been maybe less than 5 minutes. When I got outside, I was like, that wasn't special. Because yeah, it's a quick process. You just put in 2 X's on a form, and then you walk out. That's pretty much it. But when you think about the bigger picture, that there are millions of people in Germany that were doing the same thing or did the same thing like a couple weeks and stuff leading up to the election, that gives a different weight to what this process is all about. This really kind of hit me later on in the day. I was like, wow, it's crazy that, you know, each of these votes, like people all across Germany going to some polling station to cast their vote. All of this information is somehow going to decide which parties will actually make the government for this country. That's actually a great responsibility. It was something very special to me, something I was looking forward to, something that I also took very serious, because I wasn't just like, okay, I'm just going to go there and cross whatever. It was a decision that I wanted to use and to exercise as best and as informed as I possibly could, even though it's just one vote out of millions. Something that stood out, which was actually not very surprising because this is Germany, there was absolutely no form of technology. Everything was manual, everything was paper-based. From checking the list of the people that are eligible to vote to you actually crossing your ballot, all paper-based. The elections being on Sunday is already one of the biggest differences when I compare Germany to Jamaica. Because in Jamaica, elections are usually on a weekday. By law, you're allowed, I think, up to like 3 hours off from work to go and to vote. Another thing that's different with how things are done in Germany, and for me, growing up in Jamaica, one of the ultimate signs that you voted was that you had ink on your finger. In America, it's kind of like these I voted stickers. My mom, she always would work like on election day, and she was explaining to me the process where before you can actually drop your ballot into the box, you had to put your finger in the ink. This was also a way to make sure that you don't vote twice. It was interesting that you walk out of the polling station in Germany and that was it. That was something that was kind of different for me because, you know, there's always been this symbol in my head of, you know, you voted and you participated in an election, but in Germany, no, that doesn't exist. When the polls closed at 6 p.m., there was already coverage on these different TV channels, and they had their numbers already. Based on the article that I read, they have these results before 6 o'clock, but they're not allowed to release any of this information until when the polls actually close. So after that point, that's when they started giving you these forecasts of what the election results would be. In my mind, I was like, what? Isn't this like somehow misleading? A friend told me that no, this is actually very, very good. Apparently it's usually within like 0.5 points of what the actual and the final results are. More than like 900 people across like different places in Germany that are actually asking people for this information. That's what they use then to actually create these estimations. So this is the kind of the basis, and then throughout the night when the actual counts of the votes come in, then these actually get updated. From the beginning, it was already a very, very good start and a very good prediction of what actually happened. Within like 2 hours, the winning party, CDU, they actually declared victory. And the other parties, they actually, some of them were still hanging on because, because of this 5% that they have to meet to make it into the parliament. I was actually really surprised by just how quickly that happened. As someone that works at a research company, being appreciative of the work that goes into that, collecting the data, and of course, the models that are created to actually process this data, the statistical extraction and all that stuff is like amazing work. It was really an election watch. You were there watching on the TV, like multiple switching between stations, lots of surprises with different parties, how many points they lost, how many they gained, and so on. It really had me at the edge of my seat, like, okay, what is gonna happen now? After all of this, around 9 o'clock, so 9:15 to be exact, there was this format where the leaders of these different parties, they all sat at this big table. There were like 2 journalists that were moderating, asking them different questions. That was like mind-blowing because I'm like, wow, Germany is a special country because these are politicians that have been competing against each other like for the past couple weeks, past couple months. And here they are sitting down like 3 hours after the election and they're having a discussion that was like, wow, that is amazing. Because most other countries is complete opposite. You have the party, they're celebrating there, they're celebrating there. They don't come together because, come on, it's more fun to actually be celebrating your victory or just be upset about your loss alone than to be sitting somewhere like that and having a discussion about, okay, how do we go from here? What's the next step? What did we do wrong? It's like when you should be processing all these things on your own, you're actually there processing it in the presence of, the other people that you were competing against. I celebrated that moment. This is definitely one of the things I like the most about this political system. These parties, they have to speak to each other, they have to somehow find a common ground, like how do we compromise so that we can actually work with each other? Even if they are on different sides of the political spectrum, that they still come together. That was, for me, just a very beautiful moment. Watching it also was pure entertainment at some points. Is when somebody would speak and seeing the reaction of some politicians or some people just not looking the other, like it was just pure drama, but also even getting to the core of the problems that need to be addressed. In terms of the results of the election, I'm not going to dive into doing some type of political analysis of what these results are and what they mean and what party lost and whatever stuff, because I'm definitely not qualified to do that. But one thing that stands out to me is when you look at the old map of Germany, how it was divided with the Bundesrepublik Deutschland and the DDR, and you compare that map to how Germany voted in this election, it shocked me to see how that division is still there. But I think this map kind of shows even a much bigger problem that I've noticed over the past couple of years, that there's a lot of division that has just been growing in Germany. I don't know the complexity behind it and what's causing all of this, but I can still hope that this government that is coming in and over the next couple of years, that this will actually not continue that direction where we're growing apart from each other in whether it's our views on everyday things or our political views and all those different things, but that we can somehow, just like all these politicians, come to the table and we can still talk and we can still have a conversation without, judging and without being, yeah, that's just my hope. The election is now behind us. And now the work continues because they need to figure out, a coalition and all that good stuff. And yeah, we'll see how this turns out. That's pretty much my experience and my 2 cents about the election in Germany, my very first election. And thank you guys so much for watching the video, and see you in the next Jamaican Tales video.